In terms of implementing centers and corridors, I covered a little bit of the big strategy here, and I'll just focus for the moment on the fact that all of the centers and corridors are found under button 2 in the IDO zoning map. This is kind of breaks the rule if it tracks with the document. Button 2 is just everything that kind of was set by the comprehensive plan is found in button 2. So it includes the centers, the corridors, the areas of change and consistency are all found in under button 2 in the layers that you can click on and off. We also have, I don't know if anybody uses it, but there's an index of every special rule for a center or corridor in table 3 at the front of the document. So again, if you're wanting to know as an applicant, I'm in, let's say, an activity center, I can use that index to find all of the rules that are going to be a little bit different from the citywide rules that I might know better. And it can also be used as a checklist for staff to kind of make sure that they're not missing anything that is different because a particular proposal is in a center or a corridor. The changes for the 2019 update in the Main Street MS and Premium Transit PT, plus a buffer of a quarter mile, which is about a 15-minute walk. Accessory dwelling units were made permissive, so whether or not, regardless of whether R1 allows or disallows them, you now can do them within these areas and a quarter mile away. Cottage development is allowed on smaller lots than the citywide rule. And in terms of your contextual standards, you're now able to go down to 50%, not just 75%. So it's really encouraging infill in those areas. In terms of major transit, the bonus height that you get for doing structured parking was added to major transit corridors. So it wasn't in the 2018 version, it is in the 2019 version. So all of these streets, you now, if you do structured parking, in other words, podium parking, you do parking on the ground and then you put your building above, or you build multi-story structure, or you bury some parking, all of which are incredibly expensive. We try to make that a little bit more possible for you by giving you a bonus height. Now, CORS was a little bit controversial, and just recognize again that because CORS has a view protection overlay, that overlay prevails over any other standard in the IDO. So if you do your view analysis and you cannot go above a certain height for your development, even though major transit may say, here's your bonus, you don't get it. You have to meet the view protection overlay first, and then, then you can look at any of these standards. In terms of the rest of the parking section, there was a question about how much changed, and the answer is not much, honestly. We tweaked the motorcycle parking a tiny bit to make it track with how much you provide after you take all of your shared parking reductions and all of that stuff. Bike parking we adjusted a little bit. We just found that the ratio that we had used before wasn't quite industry standard, so we adjusted that a little bit. Drive-throughs got one significant makeover, which is a lot. So the prohibition of a drive-through lane between the building and the street was in more places before. The change was to eliminate activity centers and major transit areas from that rule. So the only places where that standard now applies, where you can't put your through lane between your building and your street, are in urban centers, UC, main streets, MS, or premium transit areas. Those are the places in yellow on the map. And the MXH district, where things are supposed to be the most dense and the most walkable and the most urban. So it's still kind of a centers and corridors approach, but it just takes off the table major transit areas and activity centers.